I will start recording. Can you see? Can you see? Okay. All right. Okay. Vayomer Adonai. So the Lord and the Lord said to Eli, to him, Shama. So the first verb that you have to analyze is Shama. So here you need to put Shama. And then what about stem? Kai stem form. Because of T, it's a fixed form. What about PGN? Right. One. C. Okay. Albert, you did a good job. Probably, did you see that? It's really good. One C S. Okay. Right. Special feature, nothing. So meaning is I listen. So should be perfect tense. I listen. What? DDO. And then the meaning of this word is given. So this is what, where is it? Tapilla. Tapilla, which means prayer. So it's not simple prayer, but your prayer. So I listen to your prayer. And what? Here, kind of your, and here, takina, takina, favor or supplication for favor. So in this context, you better choose the word supplication for favor. Okay. So I listen to your prayer and your supplication for favor. That, what kind of a favor? That, and here you go. Here, hit, and then it's a none. So actually, kanan is here, and then in the beginning we have hit, hit, and then ta ending. So in terms of stem, this is a hit. That's why we have a hit pile here. So the right stem is hit pile. And what about form? And ta ending indicates a fixed form. But you might be a little confused because of this he ending. Then you think this one should be 3FSG, right? Nothing ta, ti, utem, tem, nu. But I think several times we dealt with a case like this. This, if you think this is he ending, is the affixed pronoun, the question is why do you have ta here? Right? So this one is not really a ending, but ta ending. So nothing a ta to t. So ta is the ending. So sometimes you need to understand that this ta and kamets and he is it can be used as a ta ending. So it's not a ending. So in this case, it's the second masculine singular. Okay. And what is the meaning then? You seek favor. The special feature is none, meaning is you. So, well, what is the tense? The seek, so thought favor. So you thought favor before lefanai, me. And another important word is kadash. This one appears with he, so you can easily guess, oh, it has something to do with he, preformative he, then it's most likely he feels them. Okay. And why is that we have dagesh here? Then you may consider it as a PS then, but this dagesh is not dagesh lene, dagesh porte, but dagesh lene. Why? Because one syllable is just over and then it's a new beginning of another syllable. That's why begad kepat letter needs to take dagesh whenever it appears in the beginning of a syllable. So this is the hifil, and then a fixed form because of T, and same 1CSG because of T. So what does it mean by Kadash in the hifil system? In custom, it's a set apart, and then in the Hebrew stem, cause someone to be set apart. That means what? Consecrate. So I consecrated what? The bite house. What kind of house? 제, this house. And then what kind of this house? I shared that. This is another verb to analyze. It's a bana. The same. Sabana, but he disappears, and the ta ending is a fixed form. So two, not one more time. It's not CDFSG, but two MSG. So you build, and this is the most tricky one. And then I just told you. So you have a sim, but some of you probably think, oh, is this a sim? Is this the sim that I was talking about? Oh no, this is the shim. This is the shim, and this is she, and this is she sham. So the she and she sound is different, right? Anyway, because when sim is used in the infinitive construct form, actually the middle root letter should be hirekjot. If you look at your above chart, that's why I told you it doesn't follow the pattern. So this is the infinitive construct, but it was not really that hard because you already have lame preposition in the beginning. And the question is, what kind of a form can come with a preposition? Then that's the infinitive construct. So I believe most of you got the right answer. So, but anyway, this was a sim, past tense, infinitive construct, and then no PGN for infinitive construct. Special feature, you can see that this shemi is connected to the word through medcape. So you need to include this shemi. And what is the breakdown of shemi? This is sham, and then one CSG pronoun suffix my name. So the final meaning is to set or put my name. Sham, there, at, until, olam, forever. Forever. So you can just put forever. And the last one, you don't need to analyze this, but this is a haya and a fixed form and one CPL ending because of u and vav reversive, right? Special feature. And then meaning they will be. So who are they? So here it's ein, which means I. But what kind of I? My I will be there. And what? My heart. So you can see that, oh, that's why it's plural, u ending. So it's not my I only, but also my heart. So my I and my heart will be sham, there, call all ha the yamim days. Okay, clear? Okay, so you will be able to get your translation quiz with the marks sometime this weekend. All right. Do you have any question regarding your translation quiz? Okay, let's move on. We don't have enough time. Okay. Then let's go to wait a minute. Yeah, let's look at this. Can you see it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. This is the Book of Ruth. And when you are curious about the textual criticism issue, then you need to look at the information given at the bottom of the page. And then we call this section what? Textual apparatus. Okay, textual apparatus. So the bottom one, the CP means chapter, and you can see that this is chapter 1, and then verse 1. And section A to A. So that the first one is verse 1 and section A. Then where does it appear? Go to chapter 1 and verse 1 and start reading Hebrew Bible and try to find the words coming together with letter A. The second and the third words are appearing with A. So that means these two words are related to some textual criticism issue. In order for you to understand what is going on in terms of the choice of other variant reading, we need to go down and we need to interpret it. So, okay, now I can see that. Okay, first of all, let us just try to interpret this one. Okay, as you can see that via he, and it came to pass. All right, very popular introduction of a new narrative. And this is the preposition be and yom. So you can see that, oh, okay, this is the construct chain. So in the days, okay, because of Chereyod Bridge, in the days of, this is Shepot. This word comes from actually Shapat. But you can see that the vowel points, Shua and Holem. Then what do you think it is? Shua and Holem. What form do you have?
Imperative.
Well,
Participle. Participle.
no, participle will come with
Oh.
Holem, but
Infinitive
Shua
construct.
and Holem, yeah,
Infinitive construct.
infinitive construct. Yeah, good job. Infinitive construct. And actually, imperative could be possible, but according to the context, this is infinitive construct. But anyway, infinitive construct. So, in being a verb, how come it? How come is that? I mean, how is that this one is coming together with this noun and then used in the form of construct chain? Because infinitive construct together with participle, they function as verbal noun. So it acts like noun. So shapat means what? Do you know shapat?
Judge.
Yes, judge. So this one means judges. Okay. So probably the smooth translation would be in the days of judges. Okay. What about then this one? Ha shapatim. The same word is appearing. Shapatim, shapat. But holem is here, and together with definite article and im and ing, you know that this is participle. So it indicates the ones judging. Okay. So then what is your translation up to here? And it came to pass in the days of judges, of those who are judging. How does it sound? You understand what it means. That's why some of other versions and manuscript, they chose something different. So like, look at this. What is this mark? And you need to look at the English guidance, the English key, okay, that I gave you. Do you have it? You need it right now. An English key to the Latin words and abbreviation and the symbols of a biblical Hebraic Strugat. Do you have it? You need to open it and then go to the part, the last part, and then it gives you some information about manuscript and versions. And where can you find the sign? What specific version or manuscripts do you have for this sign?
Septuagint.
Yes, somebody said Septuagint. All right, good job. You got it. So this one is a Septuagint. If you are curious, actually, if you look at the English key, then it doesn't really look like what you have here. It looks a little different, but if you are curious, then you can go to one of the front page of your BHS. Then it provides the information of different manuscripts and versions. Okay, so this is a Septuagint. So it says Septuagint chose and to rename. Okay, for ace. Okay, instead of Ime shepherd, Septuagint use ento krinein, which means in Hebrew, Beshepot. Okay, now PHS choose in the days of Shepot, right? But Septuagint just go by B Shepot. So you cannot see in the days. Instead, it says B Shepot. Can you see that? That is okay. This entokrinane, it can be translated in Hebrew with B Shepot. That's the idea. So equals. And you have semicolon, which functions as N in English. And what is this sign? Looks like S. What is it? Can you recognize it?
Syriac version.
Yeah, Syriac. Yeah, Syriac. Syriac version. What does it mean by OM? Go to the English key and find what it means by OM. Use your English key and go to the part for OM.
Omit.
Omit. It omits, they omit. So OM stands for mit. Did you get it? All right, that's not really hard. So what does it mean? Syriac omits what? Shabbat. Syriac omits Shabbat. That is it. So then what is the significance of this variation? How does it affect us? Okay. If you read the empty majority text, which is BHS here, then what is our translation? We need to translate it properly first. Then let's go back to the part. So now it happened in the days of the judging of the judges, okay? Or judges of the judgings. You can say that, but according to the Septuagint, then the translation would be, now it happened or it came to pass when the judges judge. Because you have the judges anyway here at the back, right? So it doesn't affect the judges, actually, the judges. Okay, the judges are here. And let's look at this one. Okay, look at this. You know that this is a be and preposition. And then what about shepot? That means infinitive construct. Shua and holem. So how do you translate it? With be. Then you need to put when. Do you remember? So what is the subject? Subject is normally following the verb, infinitive construct. So the judges. Participle here, ha shopetims, they are the subject. So the judges. So what is your translation? When the judges judge. Okay, so that is a little different. And what about then Syriac that omits Shapot? Then the translation will be now or and it came to pass in the days of the judge. So this Shapot part is missing. Can you see? Can you see? So this Shapot is missing in Syria. So you just have Be, Yame, Ha, Shepatim in Syria. So what is your translation? In the days of the judges. Can you see that? So now it's very minor change. And it doesn't really affect us in terms of theological interpretation. There is no any exegetical significance. So most of the case, you will find the textual criticism issue um, very, how can I say, that are not really important most of the times. But sometimes it does, affect our theology or the contents or the flow of the content. But in this case, it doesn't really affect our translation. But let me ask you this question then. How are you going to choose which one is most likely the original text? How do you think? This is the question. Number one, first of all, you need to understand what it means by this textual information given through the textual properties. Then you understand, okay, Septuagint believes this, Syriac just omit this, and then, okay, according to this variant reading, and I have three different possibility of translation. That's it. You understand it. Okay. Then let's move on to another level. Then what is your choice? What is your choice? In order for you to be assisted, then let's go back to our previous lesson on textual criticism. Okay. Let me show you one table here. Okay, you need to utilize this information. So there are several things that you need to pay attention to. So all right, you are making your decision comparing these three variant readings. Okay, the majority text, which is VHS, and then you have what, Septuagint, and then you have Syria. So we have three choices, and then what is the most likely the original text? Then you need to think about which one is the older, which one is more difficult. Okay, of course, when it comes to which one is older, then the older one has more credibility, right? And authority, because that is much more closer to the original text because of the date of composition. So older reading is much more preferred. And then what about difficult reading? So there is a tendency for the manuscribal scribes change the context or the word to smooth the translation to make the interpretation or the translation smooth. Do you understand? So in a sense that, okay, difficult reading is most likely the original text. And then smoother reading could take place when the process of copying the manuscripts by the scribes, right? Shorter reading. Why? One more time. Shorter reading is a bit harder to understand. And then people tend to put some further explanation to make better sense. Are you following me? Okay. So shorter reading is preferred. Or what about best explanation? I think when it comes to the component of best explanation, you stick to the internal um, witness. What I'm saying is you need to, how can I say, No, I think usual style is internal explanation. Let me just to go back to this one first. Okay, when it comes to usual style, then you need to read the whole passages, or sometimes even if you are reading like Moses, Moses Pentateuch, and you are reading a certain chapter of Deuteronomy, then you start reading to find what is the most common style, starting from Genesis to even what is that number or Deuteronomy. So you need to see the what is it the most frequently used style. So that is the usual style. So you need to read and then find the usual style. Sometimes you may not be able to see the usual style, then you don't need to tick on this part, just to leave it empty. No doctrinal bias. Okay, sometimes you will see that, okay, this one is supported by Septuagint, and then it has something to do with, let's say, this Hebraic, not Hellenistic, reputation. So, in order for the what is it Greek people to read this passage, they could possibly change some aggressive expression for the Greek people. Do you understand? So something like theological variation could be taking place in the context. That if you see something like this, then okay, this one should be, the doctrinal bias made by, the scribes. Okay, why this geographical support? If you think this certain word choice is supported by many manuable manuscript plus other versions like Septuagint, Targum, Vulgate, you know, and you can see that there are even more than 20 manuscript and versions supporting this choice. Then this is supported in better in terms of why this geographical support. Do you understand? So if you have many manuscript or versions that are supporting this specific word choice, then it can take the support of why this geographical support. Uh, I'm trying to recall about best explanation. I think best explanation has something to do with your rationale, apart from all the reading, typical reading, shorter reading, and why this geographical support, the usual style, no doctrinal bias, and yet you could see any specific reason that should be considered. Then you can put it as a best explanation. Sometimes you will not be able to see which one is difficult, which one is shorter. Then you don't need to tick on this. Okay, then let's do this. Talking about today's passage, which is Ruth 1, and we have three different variants. So then how are you going to do this? In terms of all the reading, then you need to know the composition date of different versions and manuscripts. In fact, you need to, I think I gave you this information somewhere up here. If you go up here, the 10th slide, it provides the information about the date of composition. Very briefly, in terms of the authority and the value of textual criticism, Qumran takes the highest credibility in many senses. And then the second one is Masoretic text. Then second one, third one is Samaritan Pentateuch. Samaritan Pentateuch is written in Hebrew, but it only provides the 5 books because it's Pentateuch. So it's very limited. But anyway, it has a great authority. Now you can see the majority text has a great authority, even over Samaritan Pentateuch. But Samaritan Pentateuch has a great authority too in terms of the date of composition. It was written nearly in 100 BC. Okay, but as a version, which is a translation of Hebrew Bible. Septuagint is quite important too. One of the reasons why it is quite important is because of the date of composition. It is written in 150 BC. So now you can see that, okay, Septuagint is quite old version. And Aquila, mid-second century AD, and Symmachus, late second century AD, Theodosian, blah, 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 blah. You can just get a brief idea about the date of composition. So now, Samaritan Pentateuch, Septuagint is 150 BC. So we have Septuagint, and what about also Syria? So you can see the first century AD and then 150 BC. So just to remember this. So
I have a question.
okay.
So for this like a date, how did they define that it was written that time, sir?
Yes, yes. So it's a scholarly works. So they believe it's archaeology. Somehow they trace. So like when even the Qumran manuscript, what is it? The scrolls were found. The most famous what is it? The archaeologists said this one is not really significant because they believe this one is not really dated long time ago. But later they just found out that this is quite late one, an old one. So actually it has something to do with archaeologists' work, but we just follow the given information. So we believe that this Septuagint was written back in 150 BC. So it varies. Sometimes it's very common to understand that the date of composition of Samaritan Pentateuch and Septuagint, even Qumran, they dated from first to the third century. Okay. So you need to understand the approximated date of this composition. But once again, this is very simplified information. So do not think that you will be able to really get the right answer. But I'm trying to give you just a little taste. Okay. But anyway, so you are supposed to have one more table here on the right side because we have PHS and then Septuagint and then Syriac here. Okay. So which one is taking the credit for all the reading? Then I will tick on Septuagint. Okay. Because majority text and VHS is dated back in 1000 AD. It's quite late. So in terms of composition date, Septuagint takes much more higher credibility. Okay.
Sir,
So all the reading takes.
Why not?
Sorry?
We are not. Why are you not including the Qumran, sir? Like
okay, that's a good question. That's another part. Can you really rely on the information given by this textual operatives? So as Jim asked, then the fact that we cannot see Qumran means Qumran supported this majority text. That's another question. So that is to my limited knowledge that I can really answer you because I don't really study textual criticism. But there can be two reasons here. As you mentioned, probably Qumran supported this majority test. Okay. Or we don't know much. Or this given information by textual apparatus is quite limited. It doesn't give us all the details of textual criticism. So the fact that we cannot see the Qumran here doesn't really guarantee that Qumran really supports majority text, or that's because this textual apparatus doesn't include any information about Qumran, especially in this specific passage. Then if you are really interested in this, then you need to go deeper in the study and see some related resources. Okay, Jim, thank you for the question. But we are going to simply rely on the information given here. So if this majority text is supported by Kumnan, then that's going to be another story. And as Jim mentioned, then of course, then majority text will take, the support for the older reading as well because of the Kumnan. Okay, but since we cannot see the Kumnan here, then we will just make our decision without considering the Kumnan support. Okay, so Syria Septuagint will take all the reading. And what about difficult reading? What is the difficult reading? How do you think? What is the difficult reading? I will let you know. 3. The first one, majority text. Now it happened in the days of the judging of the judges. Septuagint, now it happened when the judges judge. Syriac says, now it happened in the days of the judge. Which is the best translation? Easiest one to understand. I think it's Syriac. And then the second one is Septuagint. And Masoretic text is the hardest one, right? So probably it's most likely if Septuagint or Syriacs are right. No, I think if Masoretic text is right, and when they are translating into Septuagint, they just wanted to make the translation smoother, okay, by omitting some parts. That could be possible in terms of our what is it, judging. But anyway, in that case, I will tick on Masoretic test for difficult reading. Okay, so far, Septuagint takes 1, and then Masoretic text takes 1, but Syriac takes none. What about shorter reading? Of course, Syriac will take shorter reading. Best explanation, just a little bit right now. What about why this geographical support? Septuagint is alone. Syriac is alone, right? So then we need to give the support. We can just say that majority text is supported by many manuscripts. So it goes to majority text. And when it comes to why this geographical support, okay? What about usual style? Without studying the whole passage of Ruth, you cannot say that. You cannot say anything here. But I think there must be some related part. I think, let me see. But if you don't really study, then just leave it empty. What about no doctrinal bias? Can you see any doctrinal bias? We don't see any doctrinal bias, then you don't need to tick on those things. And what about best explanation? Then you can say, as we mentioned, probably in the process of copying the Hebrew Bible, so as a translation, Septuagint, Syriac, they try to make the difficult reading smoother. So then that's going to be best explanation. Then you just tick on what? Masoretic text. So now, how many supports does Masoretic text receive? In terms of the difficult reading, best explanation, why this geographical support? So it has 3 supports. What about Septuagint? Only 1 for all the reading. And Syriac, just 1 for shorter reading. Then our choice is for Masoretic text. If we have to choose which one is most likely original text. Do you understand what we are talking about here? But anyway, your understanding could be a bit different. But when it comes to older reading or difficult reading or shorter reading, why this geographical support, usual style, no doctrinal bias? It's quite straightforward. So you need to deal with this. Okay, let's move on to the second part. I will give you 10 minutes, and I will divide you into three groups. This is a group task. You are going to do it. So you need to work on it together and then come back to this uh, Zoom classroom again. Then we will deal with it. So you need to just finish it as quickly as possible. So I'm going to divide you into three groups. And the first group, let me just sharing. Okay. Okay, breakout room. This is my first time. Three rooms, four rooms. I'm going to create four rooms. Okay. Okay, the first group will go with Amos, Jimmy, and Samson. You guys are going to talk about verse 1, letter B. Okay? Just start looking at it and discuss it. And room 2 will be with James, Romero, Sharon, and Kanae. You guys are going to talk about verse 8, letter A. Verse 8, letter A. Another group is with Brother Pierce, Amy, Albert. Okay, you guys can start. Talk about verse 19, let us see. Verse 19, let us see. So here's Army, Albert. You are going to talk about verse 19. Let us see. The last group is Phineas, Stephen, Chumpy, and Amos. You guys will talk about chapter 2, verse 1. Letter A.
Professor,
Yeah.
which group I am in? Group 1 or group 4?
I think the
You
last
mentioned
one.
me twice. You mentioned me twice. Then group 1 will have only 2 students then.
Wait a minute.
Where actually you didn't call my name.
Oh, I got confused. Right. Amos, you are number 1. I got confused. Sorry. And then Chikara, you belong to the last group. Okay. Sorry.
Okay. Thank you.
So the first group is Amos, Jimmy, Samson. The second group is James, Kanae, Romero, Sharon. The third group is Albert, Ami, Pierce. The first group is Phineas, Stephen, Tompi, Chikara. And then the last group, the first group will deal with chapter 2, verse 1, A, letter A.
Excuse me, can you show the table to compare?
I will send it to you. And actually, this is the file that you are supposed to have. This is the texture criticism PowerPoint that you have. I will send it to you again, okay? And that is page 23. Phineas, I think you need to accept the invitation to join the break.